It took 10 years to get her back, but she's back. She's Alfa Demmellash, who's CEO and co-founder of a really compelling and important organization called Rising Tide Capital. She was named a CNN hero, and she honors us by being with us. Alfa, it's so good to see you again.
It's so wonderful to be with you, Steve. Thanks for having me.
For those who do not know what Rising Tide Capital is, let them know.
Sure. Rising Tide Capital is a nonprofit organization that's headquartered in Jersey City and serves all of New Jersey with services for entrepreneurs who are starting and growing businesses and small businesses who are struggling, especially at this moment, to keep their doors open. We exist to transform lives and communities through entrepreneurship, Steve.
You know, we're taping on the 20th of May. It'll be seen later. These statistics are staggering. 34% of the state's small businesses have closed since the pandemic started. 40% of minority-owned businesses are permanently closed. It's disproportionate. It's worse. Describe it, A, and B, what do we need to do?
Certainly, I think the statistics that you've named are really, really important. And when you take it into account that New Jersey in particular has over 50% of its employment relying on small businesses and these kinds of entrepreneurs that are creating local jobs. So when we're talking about the issue of 40% of small businesses owned by minority and women business owners shutting down, we're talking about an impact that is multi-generational in nature. As somebody who for the past 17 years, along with a team of incredible people, have been supporting entrepreneurs and small business owners can share, it's extraordinarily difficult to open a business, but unfortunately all too easy to shut one down. So this pandemic has really brought us to our knees. And the reality is we do need those businesses in order to get folks off of the unemployment lines, in order to make sure that our communities are stabilized and that we can actually create more jobs into a new future economy than we currently have. So in terms of the A and B of it, entrepreneurs and small business owners will tell you, certainly the lifting of the quarantine policies and legislation is critical, because if they're not open, they can't make any money. But more than that, it is about making sure that they're getting the right advice around how it is that they can manage their debt. A lot of them have had to declare bankruptcy or take on bad credit, which impacts their basic livelihood. And so it's a lot of advice and support and technical assistance they need to get access to grants and any kind of reasonable financing opportunities for them to get back on their feet. So
as we put up the Rising Tide Capital website, and you're a nonprofit, we're a nonprofit. And by the way, Alfa's talking about small businesses surviving, nonprofits surviving like us. It only happens because of the generosity of corporations, foundations, and people who care about what we do. And that being said, my question is, when they go on the website, what kind of help can they get?
So when they go on the website, part of what they get is access to a team that's going to let them know of different kinds of opportunities. As Steve, you mentioned, we're a nonprofit. We're funded by foundations, corporations, and governments. We've been very grateful to have support from groups like the Economic Development Authority, which has been putting out a whole lot more resources for small businesses. There are other private entities, including certainly our bank funding partners, who are giving us more resources to get on a call with an entrepreneur, offer them that one-on-one advice to support them in their decision-making, and also access to cohort-based experiences where they can build out a new business model. For many of our entrepreneurs, they've had to rethink their entire business model. And let me tell you, Steve, we have 3,000 entrepreneurs. We surveyed them as the pandemic was hitting, and about 1/3 of them, that's 1,000 entrepreneurs, could not get onto an online device or even have an additional device that they could work off of, because so many of them are parents and are having to educate their kids on these devices. So access to digital support, helping them understand where their next customers might be and how to meet them in an appropriate timeline is something that we're certainly leveraging every resource we know how to be able to provide in a timely way to our entrepreneurs and small business communities.
Child care matters. School situation matters. We're involved in an initiative called Reimagine Childcare connected to this conversation. What does a quote unquote equitable recovery mean to you, Alfa?
It really is important that we're paying attention to where the most vulnerable populations are in our state. In our case, in our specific mission, it means that women and minority business owners who've been the hardest hit both by COVID and by the pre-existing conditions around systemic racism and challenges and barriers that they faced with regards to access to opportunities and financing and markets. It means that we hone in and focus our resources on making sure that they have equal access to both affordable loans and or grant financing. Really, frankly, what so many of small businesses need, including nonprofits like us, is grant financing, long-term investments, because they have to get back up in order to be able to provide all of the sources of a thriving local living economy. And so when I look at the equity issue, it's really honing in specialized advisory and support services to make sure that groups that are most vulnerable have the wraparound and kind of the know-how around how to do that in a timely way for where they're at and not necessarily where we're wanting them to be.
Alfa, next time you come back, I want to talk about the changing face, the future of the workplace itself and how that impacts small businesses as well. But Alfa Demmellash, who is the CEO and co-founder of Rising Tide Capital, let's not let it be 10 years between interviews, because your message, your mission, the work you and your colleagues are doing is too important. Alfa, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I'm Steve Adubato. That is Alfa Demmellash, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Ira Robbins. At Valley, we believe in helping our local neighborhoods and improving the lives of everyone we serve. We work hard every day to make a difference for our employees, clients, and communities. That's why we're proud to support the programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation.
Valley's all about making life easier for clients, and that's why we're all about smiles, too. So every day, we make it possible for home buyers to become home owners, for folks chasing their dreams to become entrepreneurs, for parents to plan today for their children's tomorrow, and for communities to get better every day. You see, when we know we've put a smile on a customer's face, well, that puts one on ours, too.
Also brought to you by PSE&G, committed to providing safe, reliable energy now and in the future. The New Jersey Board of Public Utilities Clean Energy Program. Valley Bank. The New Jersey Economic Development Authority. The Russell Berry Foundation, making a difference. Choose New Jersey. The Turrell Fund, supporting Reimagine Childcare. Summit Health, a provider of primary, specialty, and urgent care. And by Rowan University,